friends, welcome or welcome back to my channel. It's been a minute. If you're new here, my name is Victoria, otherwise known as Lone Wolf Knits Online, and this is my little podcast where I talk about everything that I've been making, usually knitting, sometimes spinning as well. I have a ton of spinning to show today, and occasionally other things like crochet and embroidery, pretty much the whole shebang of fiber arts. Like I said, it's been some time since we last spoke. Life has been extremely busy and full for me. I actually did record, I think, back in over the summer, like late summer, early fall, and I lost that video. So I'm kind of starting from scratch, and now it is a new year, and I'm gonna try to be better about getting this going and just talking more often with you about what I've been making, because it is really exciting. At least I'm excited by it, and I'm hoping that sharing it with you will give you some new ideas for what to make this year. And like I said, I have a lot to show you, so let's just jump into it. This is my giant pile of socks that I have made over the past couple months that I'm gonna very quickly kind of go through and talk about, and it's actually not all of them because some of them I don't have with me today. And I'm also recording this as quickly as possible in between other things that I have to do today, so I don't have any of my notes with me, but I do know most of the pattern names, and I will put links below for everything that I talk about, so you can go ahead and find further details about yarn and sizes and all of that good stuff on my Ravelry. So I think I'm actually just gonna like take this giant pile and put it the other way, because these are the oldest first here. So I completed this is a pattern by Summerly Knits. I'm pretty sure it's called Little Boxes pattern, sock pattern. Or no, I'm sorry, Puffy Checks is what I think she calls hers. Little Boxes is another pattern by her that's been on my list, but that one I believe is a colorwork one. So yeah, I'm pretty sure this one's called Puffy Checks. And if you've been on this channel for a little bit, you know that I am a big fan of, let me just see if I can find it, Stephen West's version of this is like very, very similar, except it's a slightly bigger box, if you will, or puffy check section. So this was very similar to the one that I have been serially making for some time, but with Summerly's version. And like I said, it is slightly different, but kind of same vein of Knits and Pearls. I think this is a great beginner pattern, and I do really like the texture. I mean, from far away you can kind of, I know it's variegated yarn versus tonal, but let me see if I can put those together. Very similar, and I enjoyed making this one. They're both top down, or cuff down rather, and I definitely would make these again. For some reason, maybe just the length of these, it took me longer than something like this, of course, and I still did have to reference the pattern, but loved this yarn. I believe this is La Bien Amie, and I just used some undyed white with it. I also really loved Summerly's trick for getting these the color change here to not be so bumpy, for lack of better term. When you're switching colors, she has a trick for how to create like a really crisp, clean line here, and so something new that I learned. So and these are all from 2025 still. I will let you know when we get to 2026, because I have completed some stuff already in 2026, but we're still in 2025 over here, okay? So yes, loved knitting these Summerly Knits. And so while we're here, I will just quickly go through just checking here how many pairs of these I have. again, if you've been around for a couple episodes, you probably know that I've been obsessed with gosh, why am I blanking today? Stephen West's I'm gonna put it up on the screen because now I can't even remember what this pattern was called, and I've made it literally like a million times. So this was my Halloween version. I did knit these before Halloween, but because I never filmed the episode of me talking about them, I didn't get to wear them for Halloween. So they are going in next year's pile. I know it's not like super Halloween looking per se, but this was just some scrap yarn that I had from making another pair of socks earlier, and then just some contrast color. So of course I've made this sock before, I've talked about it a million times, don't know why I can't remember the name of it, but I ended up making 1 pair, 2 pair. This is a really great color from Spun Right Round. I think it's called Flying Elvis is the color, this main color. So clearly I was obsessed with the orange. That's 2nd pair. 3rd pair I made from, again, a leftover ball that I had from previous socks that I made before. This I believe was cat sandwich fibers, same pattern, that Stephen West pattern. And then, yeah, again, another pair of these from Stephen West. I just really got into a good groove with these, and I started busting through stash that I had. And this pattern, sock patterns for me is really about, is it versatile enough for me to use variegated yarn or tonals or solids? And this one is one of my go-tos now because it does fit any type of yarn that I've found so far, at least. So this was another one. And as you can see in this example, this is a very variegated skein from Yarn Snob. And I'm pretty sure this colorway is called Happiness, and it really does fit the bill. I absolutely love these socks. This is probably my favorite pair of, from this pattern that I've made. I just really love how these turned out, and they really remind me of my grandmother's. She used to wear these reader glasses that had these crazy frames that were like super bright colors like this all jumbled together. And so these socks really remind me of her. And what else can I say about this? I got this yarn in Florida while I was on vacation in October, and I knit them up. I believe I at least started them on the plane ride home. I think I finished them at home, but got the yarn in Florida, and it was my first time seeing Yarn Snob yarns in a yarn store. I had taken a class from the owner of Yarn Snob, and a dyeing class, so he kind of explained how he creates these, and it was so cool. But I've never seen his yarn in person before, and so this is the first time I was able to actually purchase it and see all of it. But really impressed with his dyeing skills and just how fun it was to knit, because obviously there's just so much color and every single stitch is different. So it was just really a joy to knit. And so I'll show these one more time because I'm just so obsessed. Like, come on, it's so beautiful. It's really, really stunning. I almost don't want to wear them because they're just so precious, but I do wear all of my socks. So part of the reason why I'm finally sitting down to just do this and get it over with is so that I can start wearing these, because I have been wearing some holes into my other socks. And this is like my new box of socks, if you will, from the past couple months. So I think that's it. Oh, no, one more. Same pattern. Again, scrap yarn that I just had. And there is one other version that I made with yarn that I got from Ruby and Roses, and I'll have to show a picture of that because that was the one pair of socks that I actually did wear already, and I don't have it with me right now, but it was a really cool colorway called Bungalow, and it had little bits of Stellina, I believe it's called, in like it's her, I think she calls the base rose gold. So I will include a picture of that, just to give them their moment to shine. And okay, then I started on the Rye Socks by Tin Can Knits. This is a really popular free pattern, and it was the first time I used their app. So I was a little hesitant to, you know, I'm app weary, I guess. So I was hesitant to download something else, but it actually did make following the pattern quite easy because you can choose your size, and then it just gets rid of all of the other numbers and instructions for you, and it only gives you the instructions for your size. So that was actually really fun. You could kind of also mark where you are in the pattern so you don't lose your way. And of course the pattern was great. I obviously chose a tonal for this. I believe this is from Ritual Dyes. I love these greens. And there's some slight speckling, so I guess it's not like a true tonal, but really fun. It's just got this, you know, little garter stitch up the front. And I will probably be making more pairs of these as well. It just didn't grab me as much as the other the Stephen West pattern has yet, but and I also want to see how these fit because the Stephen West one fits me really great. I think the only thing different I did about this pattern is I did the same garter stitch heel that Stephen West does on this sock, even though it's from Tin Can Knits. I just like the contrast of that better than just, I think it was a straight slip stitch heel. So these were also cuff down. And if you have been here before, you know I usually prefer toe up, but I've been getting into the cuff down socks recently. I think that is a new fun direction for me. All right. That leads us to the heel toe do-si-do socks by the Crazy Sock Lady. This was a really fun pattern because this is obviously self-striping yarn, if that wasn't completely easy to spot. I didn't change any of the colors here. This was just on one skein of yarn, and so the yarn does the work for you of the color changing. But instead of doing like straight stripes, like a very basic vanilla sock, she gives you instructions for with self-striping yarn, but of course you could use any yarn that you want to kind of get this chevron pattern on the front of the sock. Let me see if I can put my hand in here so you can see it better. That looks funny, but you know, these chevrons were really fun, and I like that you can see that it's striped regular on the underside of the foot, but on the front it's, you know, a little different, a little something different. I would definitely make these again. I do also like that you probably can't really tell super well, but there's the little scalloping that happens at the front of the sock here, just from that front panel and the way that it knits up, but it's actually really elegant looking. Hopefully my camera can focus on that. It just almost looks like a shell of some kind. So I really liked that. That was a nice little something different. Okay, then I went on, now I'm a little bit out of order, but I also made these roosting bar socks. I don't remember the pattern designer's name, but I will put a link to that below. I started this, again, we're still in 2025 for this for sure, but I made this with a sock set from, I got gifted a sock set, and wanted to find something that would be textured but not too hard, easy to follow, and this fit the bill, and I'm really happy with these. I definitely do want to make another pair. The pattern, it was easy to memorize after a while. You're doing this kind of like, let me put my hand in here and make it look funky, but like kind of diagonal strips across the front of the sock, and it was just enough to keep it interesting, but not overly complex, and you can kind of read your knitting as you're going. So another thing that I really enjoy about sock knitting patterns is if I can memorize the pattern after a while and not have to reference something over and over again or keep like checking my phone. So definitely will be making another pair of these. They look way more complex than they are, and this was kind of an experiment in I would say this is slightly variegated yarn. They're still all kind of in the same color family, but I guess it is truly like variegated in the sense that there's different colors in here. It's not just a tonal, but it's more subtle tonal. So really like how those turned out. Next, let me just make sure. These last few, I've really been breezing through these too. I'm kind of impressed with myself. These are all Summerly Knits patterns. I went on a bit of a bender with her sock project book, and then buying some of her pattern sets that were available online. So I made, this is, I believe, from her sock project book, not the one that just came out. I do have that one too though, and I'm sure I'll be making some videos about when I make all of the socks in that book, but this is from her first book, and it has some like weird French name. I think it's actually maybe called the French Connection socks, but I think there's another name for them too. It's basically just a striped vanilla sock, but I knit this in ritual dyes for the gray. I got this skein for my birthday in September from my boyfriend, and I just love how this pair came out. I can't wait to wear this one. Probably out of the pile that I've made, this is the first one that I'm going to be putting on. So once I did that one, I also, oh no, different pattern. So yeah, this was the only one that I made that was, I have made this pattern before, and I did a previous episode where I talked about the other pair of socks that I made for this with like a berry color and a bright yellow stripe. So this was not the first time that I've made this sock pattern, and it probably won't be the last because I do really love stripes. So yeah, a fun one from Summerly Knits. Okay, then I went back to a pattern that I've made from Summerly Knits years ago, and I didn't really do a good job of making them. I made a lot of mistakes for some reason in the beginning, and they just weren't super, I wasn't proud of them. But I went back to her, I think they're called Seasons socks. I will put the name up on the screen and link it below. But this is a really great, super warm sock pattern. It's a slip stitch, as you can probably tell, and they're just super cozy. I knit this in Dream in Color smushy cashmere. Who doesn't love cashmere? I mean, come on. But these were super special. Another skein that I bought when I was in Florida on vacation, and I just loved how bright they are. They can kind of read as Christmas because there is some like very red / pink like speckles in here, but they're mostly green, and I think they also read as like springtime. So also looking forward to wearing these. I think they're great. I love like super bright colored socks, especially in the dead of winter. So really looking forward to wearing these. The only thing I'll say about this pattern in particular is it takes forever because it's a slip stitch. So you're creating a lot of like really dense fabric in here. I don't know if you can really tell that, but that's the inside of the sock. But I really enjoy the way that it breaks up the speckles and the texture. Obviously, I've been on a texture kick with all these socks, and so again, also a really easy to memorize pattern. You don't have to reference it once you kind of do a few rows. So good one there. And then, all right, so these next two, again, Summerly Knits pattern, and I made these, I think it was from her sailor sock set. So you get a couple different patterns in that set on Ravelry, and this was called the Broken Rope socks. So show you the texture. It's a broken rib basically with some striping, super basic on this pair. This other pair I did, oh, avalanche. This other pair I did was no stripes, just, you know, followed the pattern as is. And these were like supposed to be my Christmas socks. I did finish them on Christmas morning. I didn't get to wear them this year because, again, I was trying to keep them all nice and beautiful to show you, and then never got around to showing you guys. So now they'll be in the rotation. It's not like I can't wear them outside of Christmas, but yeah. Trying to think of the yarn for this because I really did enjoy it, but I'm gonna have to put it in the description. Again, really easy to memorize, like one of those things that I just love about textured sock patterns and patterns that I will make again and again is because I don't have to reference it. I can just like grab a ball of yarn and be on my way going somewhere and just cast on the correct number of stitches, start getting into the groove of the texture, and then keep going. So another solid pattern. I'm sure I'll be making more of these, absolutely, for sure. Also, another factor for me is like, do they provide good stretch? And this is another one where I think it's, yeah, they provide the perfect amount of stretch like a ribbed sock would, like an all over rib. So yeah. And speaking of all over rib, these are the DRK Everyday socks. And if you know me, you know that I absolutely love this pattern. I've made it probably 80 times now. That's not even an exaggeration. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's over 80 pairs. So this is by Andrea Mowry of Drea Renee Knits, and these are her DRK Everyday socks, as I've said, and I make these all the time. It is my fully memorized go-to pattern, and they fit me so well. This was in hedgehog fibers. I got the yarn for Christmas from my boyfriend, and I was so excited to cast these on. I really like the variegated colorways that Hedgehog has, and I think they have improved their sock base because I have older yarn from them that is much more like stringy and it splits more easily. This yarn was really a joy to knit, but it was just still her like basic like classic sock or something like that. But it feels stronger, so I don't know if that is a change that has happened recently or I just haven't bought her yarn in a while, but was really happy that this turned out the way it did, that the colors were still really beautiful and sharp, but that the yarn seems to be a little sturdier. So win-win. And then back to Summerly Knits. So I also bought her comfort sock set, I think is what it's called. Again, I will be listing all this down below, but I knit these as like my New Year's socks. So I started them in 2025 and finished them this January. And I believe that these may be called the daily socks or comfort core. There's so many that I bought and looked at, and so I'm definitely confusing them. But these are really cool because they have arch support built in. So I'll kind of zoom in so you can see a close-up of those, but the arch support really makes these, and they fit more like ready-made socks in my opinion. And then there's like a very simple like texture pattern across the top, but that arch support is so fun. So I will definitely be making some more of these. Really excited about them. And that is the end of my sock pile at the moment. And it brings us into 2026. I hope that you guys have been having a great year so far. And thank you so much for joining me on this journey. I also have a ton of spinning, but I think I'm going to save it for the next video because we're already getting kind of long here and I got to get back to work. So thank you for spending some time with me. If you have any questions about the patterns that I talked about, please leave them in the comments. But I wish you a happy and healthy new year, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye.